All right, question of the week in MBLEx review number 41. Our question is, which of the following movements would cause all of the scalenes to lengthen on the right side of the body? Is it going to be A, lateral flexion to the right, B, rotation to the right, C, elevation of the scapula, or D, depression of the scapula? One more time. Which of the following movements would cause all of the scalenes to lengthen on the right side of the body? Is it going to be lateral flexion to the right, rotation to the right, elevation of the scapula, or depression of the scapula? So I'll give you a few moments to work on this one, and then we'll go ahead and head over to the explanation. Alright, so in the community tab, I asked you which of the following movements would cause all of the scalenes to lengthen on the right side of the body. And we had a great turnout here. We had 38 votes. 47% of you said it was going to be lateral flexion to the right. 21% of you said it was going to be rotation to the right. 3% of you said it was going to be elevation of the scapula. And then 29% of you said it was going to be depression of the scapula. And then thank you to the 9 people who liked this post. So a majority of you went with lateral flexion to the right. So let's see if this is going to be the correct answer. Now, let's take another look at this question to see what we're looking for here. Which of the following movements, so we're looking for a movement, would cause all of the scaling, so the muscle is scalenes, to lengthen on the right side of the body? And so we are looking for what the scalenes are doing on the right side of the body. What would cause them to lengthen? Which of these following movements would cause those to lengthen? And so let's take a look at the scalenes. So here we have the scalenes. Now it's important to bear in mind that we're going to have the anterior scaling, middle scaling, and posterior scalenes. And we're going to have 3 of them on each side. The reason that they have the anterior on this side by itself is because if they had it over here, it would cover up the middle and some of the posterior scaling. And so they put the anterior on this side by itself and the middle and the posterior scaling over here by themselves. But just bear in mind that 3 scalings on this side and 3 scalings on this side. And so we have the anterior scaling, which is going to originate at the transverse processes of the cervical vertebrae, and then it's going to run down and insert on that first rib. And then we have the middle scaling, which is also going to originate on these transverse processes of the cervical vertebrae, and then it's going to run down onto that first rib as well. And then the posterior scaling is going to originate on these transverse processes, and it's going to run down and insert on the second rib. So with that information, knowing that the transverse processes and the ribs are the attachment sites for the scalings, we can get rid of C and D because it is not going to elevate nor depress the scapula, because the scalenes do not attach anywhere on the scapula. So we're left with either A, lateral flexion to the right, or B, rotation to the right. And so now we have a 50-50% chance of getting this answer correct. So we are looking for the movement that is going to lengthen the scalings on the right side of the body. And so let's take a look here. Here we have the scalings. We have the anterior and then the middle scalings, which are visible on the lateral view, but the posterior scaling is underneath these superficial muscles. So just bear that in mind. It's there as well, but it's underneath some of these superficial muscles of the cervical region. But the reason I'm showing you this picture is because here we have the sternocleidomastoid. And there's something interesting about the sternocleidomastoid and the scalings, and that is they are complete synergists. What does that mean? That means that they do the exact same thing. And so it helps me to remember that the scalings do the exact same thing as the sternocleidomastoid. So let me explain. In this video, I am introducing my sternocleidomastoid. And so my sternocleidomastoid is going to originate at the sternum as well as the clavicle. There's going to be 2 heads that are going to run up all the way to my mastoid process. Now, when I rotate my head to the left, it is shortening. So what that means is that the scalings on my right side of my body are also shortening with my sternocleidomastoid. So they are doing the exact same thing as my sternocleidomastoid. And so we know when my head is to the left, my sternocleidomastoid and my scalings that are on the opposite side of the body are shortened. Now, when I rotate my head to the right, my sternocleidomastoid is lengthening as well as my scalings. And so the way that I know this is that the origin and the insertion of the sternocleidomastoid are now further apart. So since the scalings are synergist with the sternocleidomastoid, that means that the scalings are also lengthening when I rotate my head to the right. So let's take a look at this question again. This question wants to know which movement will lengthen the scalings on the right side of the body? Is it going to be lateral flexion to the right or rotation to the right? Well, for good measure, let's check out lateral flexion to the right. When I laterally flex my head to the right, my sternocleidomastoid and my scalings on this side of the body, on my right side of the body, are in a shortened position. So this is not lengthening them on the right side, which leaves us with rotation to the right. And so when I rotate my head to the right, my scalings are lengthening. So this is the correct answer. 21% of you got this answer correct. Now, if you did not get this answer correct, I would encourage you to jump back into your textbooks and make sure you understand the origin and insertions and actions of the scalings. You can also check out my Patreon page where I dive much deeper into this content and help better prepare you for the MBLEx. Now, if you found this video helpful, I would encourage you to share it with somebody that may need help on the MBLEx. Make sure you share it with maybe a former classmate or a friend that you know is taking the MBLEx as well, or maybe their state exam who may need help on passing the massage therapy licensing exam. All right, y'all have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you in the next question of the week. Y'all take care.